Today we're going to be talking about marketing, branding, and social media. Just to start us off again with a quote, your brand is a story unfolding across all customer touch points. This is something really important to think about. Whenever you interact with a client, even if you don't have a website, even if you don't have social media, they still have touch points. They heard from someone, right? So there's a touch point. They heard it from their friend that you took senior pictures or something. That's a touch point. Then they might go ask someone else about you. Then they Google search you. All of these things are touch points, and your brand is the overall arching surrounding thing around this. Okay. So your brand is everything that your customers come into contact with and how it makes them feel. So I just thought that was an interesting quote. So we'll be talking a little bit about how to develop a brand, what your brand already is, to be honest. And a lot of the times we call them personal brands, how to develop a personal brand, because we want it to be a little bit about us so that people feel like they know us in this business, especially in a service business. You want your brand to feel very personal. Then we'll talk a little bit about marketing basics and then social media as well. So developing a brand, the first thing that I always suggest when you are trying to think and develop a brand for your business is to think about your personal values, morals, and beliefs. This is going to be the foundation of your business because if you believe that stealing is okay, you're just going to cheat people, right? Like these are the things that like lay the line for how you're going to run a business. For me, I really value personal connection. So having an actual conversation with people and hearing their stories, that's what I really value. So that's something I want to put into my business as well. A lot of the times these things just naturally flow into your business. You don't really have to sit down and say like, okay, these are my beliefs about business or my beliefs on photography and how it should be captured. It just kind of flows out of you. But it is a good practice to write them down and see kind of like what you really want to focus on, especially if you get to a point in your business where you feel a little bit lost. Go back to the basics. What is your values, morals, and beliefs? Then the second part is your story. People really honestly want to know who you are. Okay. So, and I tell people this all the time, like Instagram is my best friend and my worst enemy, because if I'm not interacting my personal life on there, people don't feel like they actually know me. So I could post a picture of my dog and it'll get 400 likes. No, that's not true. But people, when they see my real life or they see that I'm on vacation or I'm sharing that I went to a coffee shop in Marshall today, like all those different things, they feel like you have a connection with you. You can also tell your story of how you led up to photography. So if you go to my website, you'll see stuff about how I was an accountant and how my parents gave me a camera for Christmas and how it really developed into what it is today. People want to feel like they know your story. But you also, on the flip side, people want to feel like they know or that we know their story as well. You want to make it feel like you know them really well as too. Okay. So whenever I have someone inquire, I always ask them like a personal question, like for weddings, how did you guys meet? How long have you been together? Where's your favorite place to get ice cream? That's one that I do too. Okay. Questions like that make it feel more like less like a business transaction and more like a friendship. In a small business, this is what you want. When you are in a corporation like Amazon, we don't really care about Jeff Bezos' story, right? I just want to buy my 2-day shipping, get my stuff here on time. That's a corporate transaction. But in the service industry, it's really about your story and getting to know people on a relational level. And then the third part, how people perceive your business. Did I spell perceive right? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I before E except after C. So no, EI. Anyways, the way that people see your business is actually your brand. The way that you see your business or the way that you want your brand to be doesn't mean anything if people see your business differently. Okay. So for example, let's say I'm trying to be a newborn photographer and I'm posting all the time about me, I don't know, holding baby dolls or something. I don't know, or babysitting or something. And people will perceive me as really good with children, okay? If I'm babysitting kids all the time. So then they're going to think, oh, she'd be a really good family photographer, newborn photographer, right? But if I'm not posting about kids all the time and I want to be a family photographer, but I'm posting only about marriages or my couple friends, that are getting engaged, people are going to be like, wait, this doesn't make sense, right? So the way that the things that you post and the way that you portray yourself really reflects on your personal brand, because you want people to perceive your business in a way that helps you get business. Okay. Your ideal client. When you're developing your personal brand, you really want to keep your ideal client in mind. Okay. So I've gone as far as, seems crazy, but it is a real practice that I do in my business coaching through my business coach. I've named my ideal client. Her name is Megan, okay? And I named her Megan before I even had a client named Megan, so now it's kind of weird, but my ideal client's name is Megan. So whenever I think about marketing, I think about marketing to Megan, okay? Where does Megan shop? So I have like Megan shopping at local boutiques. So like in Marshall, Noble Women, or Cocoa Avenue, kind of some of the two in Marshall. Where do they eat? I have her eating at the Hitching Post, or I see her eating, she's getting lunch at Mainstay. And these are all Marshall, businesses or whatever, where I'm from, where I'm targeting people. If I were to target in Sioux Falls, I would be targeting businesses in Sioux Falls. Where are they hanging out? Well, one of the favorite coffee shops Megan might be hanging out at is Cafea. So that's where I'm going to want to go work when I'm editing, is go to that coffee shop, because my ideal client might see me there and start the inquiry process. Does that make sense? Okay, so you have to really think about what things they buy, where do they shop, where do they eat, how do you get in touch, how do you put yourself in front of your ideal client? What words describe them? What are they looking for? What are their pain points? So one of my pain points for Megan, my ideal client, is that she's a little bit self-conscious of how she looks in photos, okay? How do I make sure that Megan knows that I know her pain point and then I have a way to solve it, okay? So one of my things that I'm going to talk about is what you should wear so that you're comfortable in your pictures. Let them know I am going to pose every part of your body so that you're feeling comfortable, okay? I'm going to tell you where to put your hands. I'm not going to post pictures or something. I don't go as this far. I'll post pictures, whatever I want. But some photographers will be like, hey, I'll get your approval before I can post pictures. Stuff like that to make people feel comfortable and to solve their pain points. If you can solve a problem for your client, they will pay you whatever you want. For example, I need disco balls for a styled shoot on Sunday that I'm hosting. Am I going to go find disco balls in Marshall? Probably not. Can I find them in Sioux Falls? I don't even know. Does Amazon have them for 2-day shipping? You bet they do. So I'm going to order them right off Amazon, and they're going to get there in time. And I don't care what I'm going to have to pay for them, because I need them, right? And they're solving my problem. So if you can solve a problem for your clients, they're going to pay you whatever they want, whatever you want. Okay. Save anything. This is just a little practical tip. Save anything that reminds you of your ideal client. So something that you can start is like a folder on your desktop. And if you see, like, let's say I'm on Pinterest and I see a wedding cake that I'm like, holy crap, my ideal client, Megan, would totally have this wedding cake at her wedding. I'm going to save that into a folder on my desktop, just so that when I need inspiration, when I need to feel like connected to Megan, I can go look at this folder. Maybe I have a review that comes back from one of my clients I really enjoyed working with, and it was a really good review. I'm going to save that review in my ideal client folder on my desktop, just so that when I need inspiration or need to go solve a problem, I can go back and look at their review and be like, their review maybe said, Anna made us feel really comfortable in front of the camera. She told us exactly how to pose, those kinds of things. I'm like, oh, that's how you solve my ideal client's problem. Okay. A little bit about that. Okay. The next part of branding is finding your niche, whatever. This one I'm not going to talk about too much, mostly because I don't feel like I have this totally down. I'm not an expert in this area by any means because I'm really bad at saying no. But there's two different kinds of niches. You can have a service niche, which would be like, I only take wedding pictures. Okay. I only do wedding photography, or I only do newborn photos, whatever. That's a service niche. Or a demographic niche would be like, I only photograph, my demographic that I'm marketing to is vegans. I don't know, random demographic. I'm marketing to, let me think, farmers. Okay, that's a demographic niche. Okay, so maybe in my area, I want to do more church weddings. That would be a demographic niche, religious ceremonies. Okay, a service niche, however, would be like a religious wedding. So that would be both demographic and service. So you see how you can get really nitty gritty with both of these. It's important that you kind of niche down into what you enjoy doing. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, I do sessions every year where I'm like, why did I take this on? I don't enjoy it. Right. When you get busy enough, you kind of have to start filtering things out. Okay. So one of my goals for next year is to only focus on couples. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take a family session. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take a newborn session every once in a while. But if someone inquires that I don't jive with, I don't care if they're willing to pay me. I want to focus on my goals of becoming a wedding photographer and serving couples. Okay. So that's kind of when you start to niche down, is you get to decide what work you want to take on. At first, it's okay to kind of take on everything, but then to be a brand, you kind of want to niche down so that people know you as, oh, Anna's the wedding photographer. Anna's the Christian wedding photographer that loves church weddings, that kind of thing. So that's why niching gets kind of important when it comes to your brand. All right. Taglines and keywords also filter into your brand. Okay. Also talks about your copy. If you ever hear the word copy, it just means words, basically, or paragraphs, things that you have displayed, like captions or your website information, anywhere or blogging, everything that you have words is called your copy. Okay. And it should reflect your brand. What keywords do you want associated with your business? Okay. So when I did this, a couple things that came to mind. I want people to feel like it's an adventure. Marriage is an adventure. It's exciting. It's fun, right? So one of my words is adventurous. I also love to travel. And so that I kind of put that in there as well. It's an adventurous experience. And then since I'm focusing and niching down into weddings, I also want it to feel very romantic and elegant and classy. Okay. So those are some of the words that describe my business. Maybe you want it to be bright and fun, or maybe you want people to associate business with happy, or I don't know. You can literally, there's thousands and thousands of words that people can associate with your business. One of the things I did when I was kind of going through this process of finding my keywords, I asked people, what are the top five words that come to mind when you think of me? And I think I still have it saved somewhere, but it was like energetic, Jesus, musician. Like these are some of the top words that people described me as. And then I took those words and kind of put them into my business. So Jesus and travel and energetic, they all kind of somehow go into that adventurous. Okay. Life is an adventure kind of thing. And then since I'm focusing on weddings, obviously I wanted something a little bit more associated to that, which would be the romantic side. Okay. All right. So then what's your tagline? My tagline's at the bottom there, capturing the adventurous and romantic moments in life. Notice how I didn't say like capturing wedding photos for Jesus loving couples or something like that. It could be that, right? If that's all you want. But I also wanted to capture engagement pictures and family pictures. So family pictures can still be adventurous and romantic. Like hopefully mom and dad are still in love, right? So that's why I wanted to incorporate all those things into my tagline, but also keep it pretty specific. Okay. There's mine. Marketing basics. So now let's talk about marketing. Now that you have your brand set up, you can start marketing your brand. Okay. So you kind of have to have a brand, and you honestly already have a brand, even if you haven't worked on it. Okay. Everyone has a brand. People will always think of you in a certain way, right? You don't want to get so caught up on what other people think of you that you have to like alter who you are. You don't want that, right? But you should think about how you want to be perceived as a business and not as a person. You need to split those two apart. What is your business perceived as? And then who I am as a person, because they're separate. They're not the same thing. I'm preaching to the choir here. All right. So once you have a brand, or once you have a brand that you want to have, or the way you want people to perceive your business, we're going to move to how to market that brand. There's free advertising or free marketing, and there's paid marketing. Okay. Obviously, when you're starting, you want to use as much free marketing as you can, right? But we'll talk a little bit about both. The second key point here I have is that consistency is key. No matter what you choose to do for marketing, do it well. Otherwise, it won't work. Okay. For example, I tried to start an email list. I was not consistent with it. My insights for that are terrible. People don't open my emails because I'm not consistent with it, right? It's something that I've decided not to focus on. I focus more on Instagram, and I focus more on blogging, that kind of thing, okay? So you don't want to get so overwhelmed with all the options of how to market that you just don't do it, right? Choose one avenue and do it well. Okay, so firecracker versus slow burn marketing. This is part of my business coaching experience. We talked about this. Firecracker marketing is like how to get business quick. Okay, how can I get people to book me right now? For example, if I post a senior session that I did last night, more seniors are going to see that. They're going to reach out and inquire, right? If I make an Instagram post, it's being shared. That's firecracker marketing. It's right now, right then. It's going to work, you know, right now. Basically, I want to get business now. Slow burn marketing, on the other hand, might be like a really good blog post. I am going to post that, get as much SEO in there as I can, search engine optimization, so that when people are Googling, today, for example, I was Googling if I needed to get a permit to shoot in Zion National Park. Okay. Hopefully I'm going to book an engagement session there. Fingers crossed. That'd be super fun. But I was thinking about this slow burn marketing. That photographer that I landed on her blog page that she had shot in Zion National Park, and I was wondering if I needed to buy a permit. I made it to her website. So those are the types of things. She might have posted that 3 years ago. I don't know. But it took a long time for me to get there. But I eventually landed on her website. And I mean, technically, if I was a bride or something, I might have booked her, right? So that's something as slow burn marketing. You want a balance of both. Mine is probably higher in the firecracker marketing because I do a lot of social media. But you don't want just slow burn either. Otherwise, you're not going to have clients now. So there's a balance. Okay. Networking is huge, 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 huge. If you take anything away from today, social media is not it. I'm going to tell you right now. Branding, whatever, get to it someday. Network. You guys are doing really good by doing an internship with me and getting to know vendors and all that good stuff, right? But the biggest downfall I see in photographers is that they don't talk to vendors. They don't reach out. Like, one of my main things in the springtime is I email a ton of venues, and I'm just like, hey, how did the season go? Can I share the photos I took at your venue? That you can share them on Instagram, tag me, right? Can you put me on your vendor list? How can I help you in the future? Is there any way that I can come take pictures of your venue and, you know, in exchange for, I don't know, talking to me to your clients, or reaching out to a florist and being like, hey, how did your season go? Right? Just making connections and like friendships with people that are also in the business is huge, huge, huge. You can also give a shout out to a vendor. I went through this little phase where I was doing like weekly shout outs for vendors. I should do this again, actually. And I would just say, hey, like, I loved working. I would post a photo that I took. I was like, I loved working with this DJ. Hire them for your wedding. They repost it onto their story, and then all their clients see that this photographer talked about him. They've worked together. Oh, maybe they're really good at working together. Obviously, maybe I should hire her for our wedding too, since I already have him. Okay. Plan a styled shoot. I don't love styled shoots. Okay. I'm going to put that out there. I've in the past been very outspoken about not liking styled shoots because they don't reflect reality. And couples if I post these pictures from a styled shoot, couples will look at it and be like, wow, like those are so gorgeous. She's going to get that perfect photo on my wedding day. What they don't realize is I have a stunning model. I have a whole hair and makeup team that they're honestly would cost them a ton of money if they hired them for their wedding day. The florals are very, very expensive. They're doing this as a service to try to get more business through my pictures, right? They want to show their best work. But if they were to actually pay for that for their wedding, it would be very pricey. So people look at these styled shoots and they're like, oh, this is what Anna's photos are going to look like on my wedding day, but they are getting married in a barn with fake flowers, right? So I'm just saying, I don't like styled shoots because I don't think it reflects my work, but they're really, really great for inspiration. So like creativity, they're really good for myself, creative. They're really good for networking, getting to know different vendors in the area that you can work with, and then also be able to tag them in your posts. So that's why I do styled shoots. And usually I don't pay for styled shoots. I would put it together like I'm doing this weekend, just so that I'm in control, because I'm a control freak. All right, blogging about vendors. So I did a wedding with Alexa actually at the beginning of July. I haven't blogged about it yet, but I loved the venue. I loved the couple. I loved their style choices. I loved their vendors, everything. So I'm going to blog the heck out of that. Okay. Because I want to work with those vendors again. I want my future couples to see, oh, that's really great inspiration, because that's the kind of things I want to be shooting. Join the chamber. So I'm the member of the Chamber of Marshall. They have a ton of networking events where you can just get to know other business owners, which is great. They need family pictures. They might have a daughter getting married, right? And then media opportunities. If you take some really awesome photos, like my grandparents' 70th wedding anniversary, who knows, it might end up in People magazine, right? So be sure to like reach out if you're going to plan an event, or if there's a band coming to town, bring your camera along. I made this mistake literally on Friday. We went to a Sidewalk Prophets concert in Edgerton, and I didn't bring my camera. And I was like, what was I doing? Like, I could have taken pictures of them, tagged them in this post, and maybe they would have shared it. And then, you know, all their media that they have, hundreds of thousands of followers, they would have seen that Anna Bainey was a photographer there, right? And I was like, what was I doing? So networking, all of these ideas running through your mind, getting to know people. Yes. All right. Social media. This is a blessing and a curse. Here we go. So first and foremost, it doesn't matter what social media you're on. If you don't have a website that's functioning for your business, nothing else is going to work. Okay. What's the first thing that you're going to do after you find someone's Facebook post? Before you buy from them, you're going to go look at their website, right? Or you're going to Google them. Make sure you have a website that speaks your brand and also showcases recent work, because sometimes I'll go to a website of a photographer and it's weddings from 2010. And I'm like, that dress looks like it's from 2010. Like, you don't want that. That's not what you want, because then people are gonna be like, wow, I don't want my wedding to look like that. Even though your wedding's not gonna look like that and the photo is awesome, they still see that and they're like, I don't want my wedding to look like that. So keep your website up to date, keep your blog up to date. And if you have a blog, you can use that blog and post on all the following, okay? Using one topic from your blog on your website, you can, how do I say this? Like, you can use it in so many different areas. Blogging, and then use that same topic to talk about everything else on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Google, YouTube, right? So it's not that much work if you think about it. You just really have to focus on your website and your blog, and then everything else kind of just flows down naturally, because eventually you want everything to come back to your website and your blog. So that's where people are going to book you. Okay, so Facebook and Instagram, those are probably the two biggest ones that people are going to discover your work, okay? If you're not pouring a ton of money into Google Ads, people probably aren't going to find your website and your blog organically, okay? If they're like specifically looking for a Marshall wedding photographer, then they're probably going to find my website. But if they type in Minnesota wedding photographer, no way, right? There's millions of us, it feels like. So that's where Facebook and Instagram really comes into play. You can do a lot of networking. You can showcase really recent work. Friends share it, good networking, right? Keep it all going. And it's also a really great place that people get to know you. Okay. So like Instagram, I'm really big about talking about my everyday life and what I'm doing that day. And, you know, I love Casey's Donuts. Like that's pretty obvious on my Instagram and my website. So those are the types of things that you just want to like use these platforms for, and they're free. So it's free marketing. Just start building them. Over time, you're going to start building likes on Facebook, and you're going to build followers on Instagram. Pinterest is huge. Let me tell you why Pinterest is such a good place to market. Facebook and Instagram posts last for like 24 hours, right? You're going to see your best friend got engaged, then you're not going to see it the next week because it's gone. It's in the cloud. Pinterest lives forever, okay? The perfect example of this is last year I posted a pin of this like car wash vintage truck photo shoot that I did. Okay. So they brought their vintage truck into a car wash, and this couple did a photo shoot as they were like washing the truck, and they got all wet, and it was super cute, right? That pin has like 75,000 views. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because people keep pinning it and pinning it. And then someone's searching for, you know, unique couple engagement photo ideas, and that pin comes up. It acts as a search engine. So it's not just gone forever like Instagram is. You can't search for things on Instagram like you can on Pinterest. Okay. Google Business, you want to make sure that you have your Google Business listing updated. So where you're living, or, you know, the town that you're in, link it to your website. Keep track of reviews. Having reviews on Google Business is really important. But it also kind of puts you on the map. So if people are looking for a wedding photographer in Marshall, that's how I'm going to pop up, is by having my Google Business listing. And that's something you actually have to start with a Gmail account, but it's pretty easy. And then YouTube. I record these videos for a reason, right? Like I might as well repurpose it. Oh, and look at that, running out of time because I'm cheap and don't pay for Zoom. We have 10 minutes left. We'll be okay. I'm almost done. But using YouTube, I can post these videos, and then someday someone might find it, right? If you're going to do it well. I might as well post it. I'm already doing it. You know, it's not that much extra work to go and post it. Some people have a YouTube channel. People can subscribe to that. You can teach about anything on YouTube, and you can find anything on YouTube, to be honest. So using these different platforms for free is a way to market your business. Now, when we get into paid advertising, you can pay for advertising on Facebook and Instagram. And honestly, I did both this last week just to try to see what it was like. I paid for ads on Facebook and Instagram. I've done it before, but I wanted to do it in preparation for this Zoom meeting because I wanted to see which one performed better. Facebook performed way better than Instagram, which shocked me, right? And maybe it was just the post that I promoted. Maybe it was the money behind it or the circumstances of the world. I don't know, right? All these things. But it was interesting to see the difference. And these are literally trial and error, but Facebook ads are becoming huge. And learning how to use those is something that's on kind of my next list. I'm going to start putting a lot of money behind Facebook ads because that's how you find your ideal client, by targeting them and paying to find them, right? And before all this social media, that's what people had to do. They had to pay to get into newspapers. They had to pay to get onto the radio. Everything was paid marketing. Now we just have this free marketing, but it's overwhelming sometimes when there's so much going on. If you don't pay for it, people might not see it. So that's another thing to think about. I also do a little bit of advertising in newspapers. Like there's a wedding sectional that comes out, I think quarterly, or I don't know, something like that. And I always pay to get an ad in there just because it's good advertising. And then sometimes I'll do an ad on the radio, stuff like that. There's always those, you know, back to the basic up. And I even have put up posters before, like literally going around town and like putting posters up just to get my name out there. So those types of ideas. Any questions? I'm going to end the recording and then we can go ahead and talk about whatever.